Debt-Free Formula Financial Freedom Foundation Level 1. Chapter 1.0 Congratulations, Welcome, Introduction. Chapter 1.0a Congratulations and Welcome. Congratulations and welcome on starting your financial freedom foundation journey of being debt-free. It's time to dominate your finances with this course being your debt-free formula. This course and its debt-free formula will transform you from a servant to debt to a debt-free human. As you may have noticed, I have the debt-free formula in this course for you alongside a few bonus sections built in around it. These bonus lessons are designed to prepare you for the debt-free formula section and reinforce it so that your foundation for financial freedom is as firm and impenetrable as it can be. As you know, I love to over-deliver on my promises because I want to provide as much value for you as possible. Completing this course can change your life if you use this educational tool wisely. This is the beginning of your financial freedom foundation journey. Congratulations! Let's get started. Chapter 1.0b Introduction. Introduction to Financial Freedom Foundation, Debt-Free Life Formula, and Dominating Your Finances. Dominate your finances. Don't let your finances dominate you. This course is a formula for a debt-free life and a guide to your foundation of financial freedom. In this course, I'll teach you the foundation of dominating your finances instead of letting your finances dominate you. The goal of this course is to lay your financial freedom foundation by guiding you with practical yet simple steps to 1. Start the process of building your financial mind to become your greatest financial asset. 2. Implement my step-by-step debt-free formula to liberate your finances and soul to be those of a free human instead of those of an indebted servant. And 3. Optimize the foundation of your finances for financial freedom while revealing options of how to live a financially free life in which you wake up in the morning in a good mood. In short, this course teaches you the foundation of dominating your finances instead of letting your finances dominate you by transforming you from a servant to debt to a debt-free human with this debt-free formula. Once you complete this course and take action on the debt-free formula, you will switch from being a servant to debt to instantly becoming a debt-free human in the making. And after completing the debt-free formula, you will become debt-free. With that said, here are a few questions to help you begin your journey. Remember to continue to check in with yourself throughout your journey by asking yourself these questions and answering honestly. Is your mind your greatest financial asset, or is your mind your greatest financial liability? Do you wake up in the morning in a good mood, or do you wake up in the morning stressed from a lack of freedom in your life, rooted in your failure to dominate your finances? Do you have the soul of a free human, or do you have the soul of a servant to money and debt? Chapter 1.1 Beginning your healthy relationship with finances through mindset, perspective, and attitude. Chapter 1.1a Mindset. Your mind can be your greatest asset or your greatest liability. This means your mind can be your greatest financial investment that generates and builds your wealth, or if it is used unwisely, it can be your greatest enemy that drains your financial health and wealth. In other words, seek wisdom before you seek wealth in order to avoid losing your wealth. If you don't know how to protect your wealth, you will lose it. There are 3 main ways to financial freedom, and I will go into detail on how you can specifically achieve financial freedom based on these 3 ways later on in this course. A wise man once said, "Success is not to make $1 billion. It is to actually wake up in the morning in a good mood." I agree with this, and I must add that you need to find your sweet spot of what makes you happy in terms of your finances, allowing you the freedom to live a life you love. For example, in many cases, the cost of living for a life you love can be as low as $2,000 or even lower. I know this is real because at the time of recording, it's true for me. Your financial freedom journey starts with asking yourself these questions and answering honestly. Do you have the soul of a free human? Or do you have the soul of a servant to money, to debt, and to those who created the structures to keep you as indebted as possible? You bought this course, this course is free now because I'm putting it on YouTube, but I sold it back in the day. You are taking this course because you strive to carry the soul of a free human who is debt-free with their mind being their greatest financial asset that builds the wealth and freedom in their life, so much so that they wake up in a good mood every day, or at least most days. The goal of this course is to lay your financial freedom foundation by guiding you with practical yet simple steps to start the process of building your financial mind to become your greatest financial asset. Implement my step-by-step debt-free formula to liberate your finances and soul to be those of a free human instead of those of an indebted servant, and reveal options of how to live a financially free life in which you wake up in the morning in a good mood. It's essential to be honest with ourselves about where we are with our relationship with finances in order to create any meaningful and lasting change for our lives. This is also true for those whose lives will touch in a positive way as a result of changing our own life for the better through finances. We must create a positive relationship with change in order to make that change sustainable. You bought this course because you've seen through the 3 big lies in our society we've been taught about finances, which are: 1. Debt is normal and should be celebrated. 2. Money is evil. And 3. Money makes you a bad person. If this was true, why would we still need money to operate in society? The lack of money makes life more stressful not only for you and for your loved ones, but also society as a whole. Why are we perpetually told these lies? We were told these lies in order to be conditioned to be a servant to money, to debt, and to the people who have created these structures to keep us as indebted as possible. You're on the never-ending treadmill of the rat race, but there is a way off this never-ending treadmill and out of this rat race forever. Radically accepting reality to seeing the lies for what they are and taking effective action based on the reality and truth. Chapter 1.1b, Perspective. It is agreed on by people that a piece of paper, money, has the capacity to have a huge impact on people's lives and in the world depending on how it is used. It is a tool for trade, nothing more, nothing less. Whether it is used for having a positive impact or a negative impact depends on the kind of person using this tool, money. People's relationship with money is often very unhealthy and even dangerous because we didn't receive the education from birth, something I believe is a human right, on how to build a healthy relationship with money. People speak hatefully about money whilst desiring it deeply at the same time. However, once they have the money in their hands, they would let it slip right through their fingers as if it was trash. How can anyone build wealth when they have such a conflicting and unhealthy attitude towards an object that has no soul? We must build a healthy foundation with money and finances before being able to dominate our finances. Chapter 1.1c, Attitude. You will change through this process. Part of this change is you finally healing the problems you have with finances at the root. In order to find the root of the problem, you need to be honest with yourself about where you are. It's going to take work to override your programming and rewire the pathways in your brain about finances. It's also going to take work to build the habits and behavior that is aligned with being financially free. You're going to have to put in the work to learn the skills required for financial freedom because that's exactly what wealth building is, a skill. People can learn skills to build wealth and build generational wealth. We've been born in an incredible time where we have the opportunities to build wealth, whereas in the past, people would be punished severely, even with death, if they tried to build wealth. There would be strict rules that would keep people trapped in the category or demographic in which they were born in. The category or demographic they were born in is the category or demographic that they would live and die in. But that is not you, because you have seen through the lies we have been told, and you are going to take effective action based on the reality and the truth. And this course is your first step. Chapter 1.2, 5 Financial Freedom Health Habits Formula. Habit 1. Care about your finances. Care about your finances. Seek financial wisdom and education before seeking wealth. You must care about your finances. Part of that is doing the following. The financial wisdom you seek must only be from people skilled in finances and wealth building. You wouldn't go to treatment for your eyes from a foot doctor. Same with finances. You only seek financial wisdom from those who are financially skilled in wealth building in the way you aspire to. Invest in your financial education by seeking wisdom from financially skilled people, books, courses, and/or whatever medium that works for you. Remember that every new level of wealth requires new level of skills. More money doesn't necessarily mean more problems, but it does mean you will swap some of the problems you had before with different problems. Adjust who you seek advice from and the education you seek at different levels as you see fit. Part of this wisdom and education is also about learning how to protect your hard-earned wealth, which I will get into later in the Wealth Guardian Habits section of this formula. For now, just know this. Don't ignore wisdom, don't waste money and wealth. Protect yourself from your financial weaknesses by strengthening your financial self, and protect yourself from those who secretly have teams that will target you to scam you, especially when you're less experienced with wealth guarding your newly built wealth. Habit 2. Pay yourself a minimum of 10% first. Simple but essential. You must keep 10% of all you earn. You must prioritize paying yourself first over anyone else in order to have your finances revolve around investing in you first. You always come first, even when you want to help others, because in order to help others effectively, efficiently, and sustainably, you must make yourself strong enough to be able to sustain the weight of such great responsibility. Yes, being financially free is a great responsibility, but one that is well worth it. This habit of paying yourself a minimum of 10% is a really great way to feel satisfied with your work. Think of it as you investing in you and rewarding yourself first and foremost. You are your own investor. You will see that by starting this habit of paying yourself no less than 10% of your income and staying consistent with it, more and more money and wealth will come to you. You attract wealth when you are responsible with it, because being a responsible person is really attractive. When you take great care of yourself and your finances, you respect yourself more, you have more confidence, and you have a higher self-esteem. As a result, you attract more money, you attract more opportunity, and you attract more people, including people who will increase your quality of life. You become a more attractive person overall, and that is really attractive. Again, it all starts with your mind and your habits. Here are a couple of relevant quotes to this section I love regarding finances. In personal finance, we overvalue math and undervalue psychology. Financial success is not a hard science, it's a soft skill. Where and how you behave is more important than what you know. In other words, in finances, your psychology, also known as your mindset, and behavior, also known as your habits, is more important than your intelligence. The more gold I accumulate, the more readily it comes to me and in increased quantities. The gold which I save earns more, and its earnings earn more. Simply put, more and more money and wealth goes to those who are organized with it and have a plan that they take action on. Habit 3. Spend less than you earn and earn more than you spend. Control your cost of living by living far below your means, not just within your means. There's a quote that goes, "Never risk what you have and need for what you don't have and don't need." I want to add that this is even more important when you are feeling envious, jealous, FOMO, fear of missing out, etc. Do not fall into the trap of lifestyle creep, which is raising your expenses as your income rises. How to avoid lifestyle creep is by listing your expenses as soon as possible, especially prior to your income rising, and keep it as close to that total number of cost of living and revisit it every month in order to keep you centered on where you started. Don't fall into the trap of trying to keep up with the Joneses. Don't financially overextend yourself. Overspending in order to be trendy and look wealthy is really just you digging your own financial grave of debt and vulnerability to risk in disguise. You are putting yourself in a more vulnerable and risky position. It's not something that is wise. Finances is about managing risk. You must remind yourself to see through the disguise and see the reality of poor choices for what it is. Remember that the seeds you plant today will become the delicious fruits of your labor when harvest season arrives. Overextending yourself financially is going to have consequences in the way when a muscle is overused and overextended. What the muscle does is it spasms and constricts in order to protect itself from being further overused and overextended. It's extremely painful. It's the same with finances. Eventually that spasm will come where you will be in a lot of pain because you overextended yourself financially. So you must stop before it's too late. If your only way out is to ease yourself out or wean yourself off, do it. A wise man once said, "What each of us call our necessary expenses will always grow to equal our incomes unless we protest to the contrary." In other words, don't confuse your necessary expenses with your desires. How to make crystal clear what are necessary expenses versus what are desired expenses is by having that list of your necessary expenses versus desires and checking all your expenses once a month to hold yourself accountable. These are habits of being a more financially responsible person who protests to the contrary of lifestyle creep. And budget so that your necessary expenses and some of your desires fit into the percentage split of your disposable income spending while saving at least 10% of your income. I will get into this later in this course. Habit 4. Wealth Guardian. Be the guardian of your wealth by firmly protecting your wealth, starting with safeguarding the smallest amounts. You must see yourself as the guardian of your wealth, starting from the smallest amounts. You must see this guardian of wealth role as your duty to not only yourself, but also the lives of the people you will touch in a positive way in the future as a result of your discipline. In a way, you are like a superheroine or a superhero for your wealth building journey. You have to take being the guardian of even the smallest amounts of wealth seriously, because when you face greater foes of wealth building who seek to steal your treasure, you will have the skills and fitness to defend your wealth. There will be times when your greatest foe is yourself, because circumstances will arrive in your journey that will test you and will hit your weak points. And that's when your inner strength, financial fitness, financial skills of being the guardian of your wealth will kick in like muscle memory to defend you against your former weaknesses from being reactivated and exploited. You must prepare and brace yourself for these circumstances by building your inner strength of financial fitness and financial skills to combat these challenges to come in different chapters of your financial journey of life. Again, take this guardian role seriously and think of every penny you are saving like a superheroine or a superhero, seeing every human life as precious. Your savings, especially the savings you earn, are literally your money that was extracted from the blood, sweat, pain, injuries, heartbreak, and tears that you worked so hard all your life for. You survived all those hard and almost unbearable days to get to this point of becoming this guardian of wealth who protects their precious hard-earned savings and wealth. Do not squander this opportunity you created for yourself and were given by the universe by not listening to this extremely important advice. You must learn to firmly guard and protect your wealth, starting from the smallest amounts, because these habits you learn and boundaries you set to protect will become like muscle memory for you in difficult times that test your strength, fitness, and skills of being a wealth guardian. When you are in debt and without a plan to get out of it, you have not earned your right to start your investing journey outside of investing in your education and in yourself. You need to at least have a plan for getting out of debt and be taking action on that plan in order to earn your right to invest outside of your education and yourself. I noticed in Western nations, such as the United States especially, people in debt are celebrated. We celebrate when someone goes into debt for a car. We celebrate when someone goes into debt for a home. We celebrate when someone goes into debt on their credit cards to purchase items or experiences. First off, you don't own these items you bought with debt. The bank does, and you're leasing it from them. Secondly, debt is not something that used to be celebrated, and it is not necessarily always celebrated in nations that are not in the West. I don't live in a Western nation, and where I live, We do not celebrate debt. I noticed one of my grandmas does not like being indebted, and I really love that, and I have adopted this mindset. We are basically people who are repulsed by debt and have a negative reaction to it. My grandma grew up in non-Western nations, and she is an older generation person, which I think is what helped shape her attitude towards debt. In the past, debt was something that was frowned upon, but somehow, at some point in the last 100 years, in Western nations especially, being an indebted person went from being something that people were criticized for to something that people are now celebrated for. It's something to be compassionate towards yourself for having been conditioned to believe the lie that debt is normal and should be celebrated in order to keep you an indebted servant in the rat race. And at the same time, you must take full responsibility for getting yourself out of debt. You can be a responsible and accountable person without beating yourself up. You can't learn to run before you learn to walk, and you can't learn to walk before you learn to stand, and you can't learn to stand before you learn to crawl. It's the same thing. You have got to learn to crawl first, then to stand, then to walk, then to run. In this case, before you begin investing, you have got to learn to plan to get out of debt, be actually taking action to get out of debt, begin paying off your debt, and begin your journey as a saver. When you do begin your savings journey, there are many pitfalls you have to avoid. The same is true for your investing journey. Because this is a course about getting out of debt, I will not be going into these dangers because I don't want you to feel overwhelmed, and I want you to focus on the basics of creating a plan for freeing yourself from debt and taking action on that plan. Once you begin following the debt-free formula I give you in the next section, you're ready for the next step of starting your savings journey. At that point, you can begin the second level of my Financial Freedom Fundamentals course, which focuses on savings and how to structure your savings for wealth building. Great advice is worth its weight in gold if it saves you from loss. Do not be too confident of your own wisdom. Invest in smart investments wisely and intelligently. At the early stages of where you are, your best investments are in your education and in yourself, such as your mental, emotional, and financial health. Something I also want to touch on here is that lowering your tax is also a way to lower your expenses, because that means you get to keep more of your money. This is something I will dive into deeper in high levels of financial freedom courses because, again, you are at the basics and we want you to hyper-focus on this stage of taking action to begin freeing yourself from debt. Knowing your income versus your expenses is also important in guarding your wealth in order to ensure you are not spending more than you make. If you spend more than you make, you are losing your hard-earned wealth instead of guarding your wealth. Habit 5. Taking action positions you to maximize luck and opportunities. Intelligence and knowledge are useless if you do not combine them with the behavior and habits to take action on your dreams. Experience is the best teacher, so go on and do something aligned with what you want, as opposed to only pursuing knowing something based on what someone else said. You want to have a mix of doing and knowing. Doing will also help you learn, which will add to what you know firsthand. This is something that is simple and straightforward. If good luck comes your way, you will be able to take full advantage of it if you are a person of action and have positioned yourself to maximize that opportunity with your habits, discipline, and investment in yourself and your financial freedom journey. Perhaps the consistency will also bring good luck your way because you may attract the right opportunities as well. People are always watching. The universe is always listening. Chapter 1.3 Debt-Free Formula. Chapter 1.3a Overview. The 3 steps of the debt-free formula. This section of the debt-free formula has 3 main steps. 1. Take action on your plan to see the reality of your finances and start to pay off your debt according to the debt-free formula I give you in the following section. 2. Create your first savings account called Eternity Savings Account that will never be touched, not even for emergencies. This is your beginning of being a saver. I will go into detail on how to structure your savings in the next level of this course series, Financial Freedom Fundamentals Level 2, Savings and Wealth Building Formulas. B, at this point in your journey, you are transforming from being in debt with no plan to paying down your debt to become debt-free as quickly as possible. C, whilst you are transforming and transferring into paying down your debt to become debt-free as soon as possible, you are also becoming a saver by creating this eternity savings account. D, put at least $1 in it when you open it to make you officially a saver. If you don't have $1, put a penny in it. And if your currency isn't the dollar, put one of whatever your smallest currency is. You want to officially become a saver, and even if it's a penny, it still means you're a saver. 3, create your first investment savings account called Investment Savings Account and put $1 in it. If you don't have $1, put a penny in it. And if your currency isn't the dollar, put one of whatever your smallest currency is. A, this is the beginning of you becoming an investor in the making. B, in your process of becoming a saver whilst you are paying down your debt according to the debt-free formula, you created a savings account for future investing, making you an investor in the making. Chapter 1.3b, Commitment. The decision to commit. If you're someone who hasn't cared about your finances, it's time for you to commit to caring now and to care for the rest of your life. Caring about your finances is self-care and community care when you look layers deep down. Caring about your finances is non-negotiable. Being avoidant of caring about your finances ends now, and the following is why it is so important. It's important to be honest with ourselves, face the reality of where we are, and see the reality for what it is. You want to make sure you do not have a dangerous relationship with finances, but instead a healthy one. And seeing yourself and the reality is the first step to diagnose the issue at the root and make changes for the better. Look at the things that could be harmful to you instead of avoiding it, because avoiding looking at something that could potentially be a problem could put you in a dangerous situation. The more you avoid building a healthy relationship with your finances, the more dangerous your relationship with your finances can get. When it comes to our physical and mental health, we have to get our regular checkups and follow our health plan in order to be at our optimal health. If we find there is an issue, in order to deal with the issue effectively, we take action quickly to minimize problems or take advantage of opportunities to potentially reverse any damage done. Your financial health is very similar to your physical and mental health in this way. You must see your financial reality for what it is, be honest with yourself, and take action now in order to minimize the problems and potentially completely reverse the damage done. In this case, we want to reverse the problem of your debt by paying it off and becoming debt-free. You need a realistic plan for this, and here it is. Chapter 1.3c, Step 1, How to be the author of your life. Debt-free formula. Step 1. How to be the author of your life, your magic book of spells. You are the author of your life. This is how you will use your magic to create your book of spells for financial freedom. In music, your instrument is only as useful as you make it with commitment, consistency, practice, passion, and determination. In this financial freedom journey of becoming debt-free, your financial freedom vision book is your instrument. It will only help you as much as you work smart and work hard to make it help you. Just like a music instrument would help you to release your magic energy and birth beautiful sound waves that will move people, a financial freedom vision notebook helps you to release the magic energy deep inside you to birth the effective allocation of your resources to free you from debt and set you on a path to financial freedom. And you will move people with the kind of energy you exude in the process. Get a notebook that you're going to make your financial freedom vision book. I use this notebook as where I have all my important financial freedom journey notes written in. You can also write parts of your financial freedom journey notes in your device, such as a laptop, iPad, or cell phone on whatever software you prefer. But it's important to have a notebook in which to brainstorm and organize your thoughts, numbers, and plan. Writing physically in a notebook is a really powerful way to bring your dreams and goals into physical reality, and also to rewire your brain in the process, because it's physically being etched into the pages of your financial freedom vision book with your own hand. And one of the best parts of having a financial freedom vision book is that when you are feeling discouraged, you can flip back to earlier pages of your book and see how far you've come. It is an incredible way to motivate you. I highly recommend this method because it is a small object that is a physical vessel and tool of making your dreams birth into reality. And when you fill that notebook up or finish the goals you had in that financial vision book, you can start a new chapter with a new book. Having your financial freedom book also reinforces that you are the author of your life. You have the power. You are putting your magic into that book by writing in it, and what you write in the book are like the spells to make it become your reality. This is because you make it a habit to come back to your notes and make sure you follow your plans, of course. Action is essential. Without action, there is no movement of energy for the magic to happen. I had a moving abroad vision book that I wrote in the months leading up to me moving abroad, and before I moved abroad, I left that notebook back in the United States and took a new notebook with me abroad to start my new journey of living abroad with my finances and my business. It is highly effective. I also record videos of myself throughout my journey too, to help me emotionally and mentally organize and process my thoughts, feelings, and goals. Investing in a regular notebook, or you can buy an affordable aesthetic one like me if you like to have beautiful notebooks, to make your financial vision book is one of the best investments you can make. It is the bare minimum, and it has been one of the most valuable instruments in my journey of success. If you also like recording videos of yourself to document your journey to supplement this financial vision book you create, I recommend it. I don't write my feelings down on paper in my financial vision book. That's something I usually do in video. I write my plans, brainstorm, do the math, and write important notes in this financial vision book. I also write some parts of my goals in my financial vision book on my devices as well. So that's something you can do. I have a notes app on my phone that comes built in, and this app is synced with my laptop too. So that's an easy way for me to jot notes down and easily access them on the go when I'm away from my financial freedom notebook. You don't have to use any device. The most powerful one is the notebook. It's the financial vision book. The filming yourself talking and jotting down notes on your synced devices in an app is not necessary. It's just a bonus, especially if you're at a more advanced level like me. I want to give an updated version of this section of this course because I wrote it back in 2022. I wrote the entire course back in 2022, and I filmed it and released it back in 2022, and people bought it. But now that I'm releasing it for free and I am updating it to the 2025 version whenever I see fit, whenever I think that there's something that could be updated, this is one of those instances. This is the first time that I'm updating something in the course, and it is my process. So yes, I still use my financial freedom vision book. I buy new ones every time I fill one up, and I brought my old ones here from the US actually that I mentioned earlier in this course so that I can have them all and I can look back at them, and we'll have it for future videos that I will make on this Anastasia Finance YouTube channel. But one thing I really want to add is that yes, I still use the notebook and I still use my notes app. However, I have reached a level in my finances, in my investing, in my business where I am thinking far more in advance. I have a much longer time horizon now than I did back in 2022. So I'm thinking decades ahead of time. I'm thinking beyond my lifetime. Not that I didn't do that before, but now it's very detailed. And so I actually, in addition to the notebook and the notes app, what I actually use is the numbers app on my laptop, and I also use the pages app. So So this is not sponsored, but I have a MacBook Pro and I use iPhones, and there's an ecosystem where everything is connected, and I love that. So I not only use these apps for my finances and my business, but I do so for my health as well, and just my vision for my life in general, my beauty goals, health goals, finance goals, business, investing, everything. And it's convenient because it's so detailed. I am so detailed and I am so thorough, even down to the most minute things. I am very meticulous now, okay, because I can be, and because my life, who I am now and where I am headed requires that. It's overwhelming for some other people. Like sometimes when I work with my doctors, I have a 16-page document of all the notes that I took and organized, outlines, everything, and I present it to them. And sometimes they do get overwhelmed with this. I can feel it, but you know what? I'm one of their best patients because I take action every single time I come back for my checkups on the specific plan that I outlined. So it's not just in terms of my business. And trust me, I am very far ahead on my work for my business now, because this is the type of person I am. And same thing with my investing, guys, everything, my finances, I am super organized. And yes, I need charts, I need outlines, I need that now. I also love to use the Numbers app for making tables. That's my favorite thing to do with the Numbers app right now, but in the future I'm probably going to be making graphs and charts once I feel ready, and I need to be able to access it on my phone, because I'm not going to drag my laptop around to any appointment that I have, whether it's with my trainer or my doctors, or even if I'm just like out and about and I'm thinking, you know what, maybe this, that, or sometimes I may just be in a different place just away from my laptop, even just in my home, but I'm not right next to my laptop and I could just check my phone, the outline that I have. So I am still using my physical notebook, but what I have been doing, especially this year and last year, is I've been using these apps because they help me. It's easier than carrying around my laptop that has all the outlines and everything, or carrying around a notebook. Although carrying around my notebook, I like to do that, but not everywhere. You know, like if I go from country to country, yes, I have my notebook with me, but if I'm running an errand or I'm at an appointment, I'm not gonna take my notebook or my laptop. I'm gonna take my phone, and my phone has documents that are on my laptop, which is information that I have inputted into my laptop from whatever I had jotted down in my notebook, or perhaps on a different app like the Notes app. But this is where I'm at right now. I am becoming so much more organized, and so I highly recommend the Numbers app and the Pages app if you are an Apple person. If you're not, you could use Microsoft or Excel. And who knows, maybe at some point I might switch, but I'm hesitant to do so because back in the day, before I moved abroad, I had written so many outlines and all of these things, and it was synced into my Microsoft Cloud or whatever. And then now, years later, I'm trying to access those same files, and obviously, I've been paying my yearly subscription every year for the Microsoft ecosystem, but for some reason, they just destroyed my documents. Not all of them, but it was extremely hard to access some of them, and some of them I just will never have access to ever again. And it sucks because those were YouTube video outlines, those were outlines regarding moving abroad, and you know, those are useful things. So I just don't trust Microsoft to be compatible with Apple, whether it's Apple's fault or Microsoft's fault, or neither of their faults. They're just different companies. But whenever I just stick to the Apple apps, because I use the Apple devices, everything works, okay? I stick with the same products within the same company and it all flows. I don't have issues. So just like a piece of advice to anybody, if you're going to be using these apps, and if you're an Apple person, it's better to stick with the actual apps that Apple created for the Apple ecosystem, because you might have malfunctioning things in the future with apps from other companies in terms of like saving all of this important data and being able to access them years in the future. Okay, so that is my piece of advice regarding that. And I mean, sure, you can use like the Microsoft products with an Apple device, but just in case, to avoid the mistake that I made in the past, make copies. if you're really set on using Microsoft products on your Apple device. So just make copies if you're somebody like me and that data is important to you. All of those outlines and tables and charts and graphs and everything, just have a copy somewhere else, just in case, because you never know when you will need that. Like me, it's years later and I would like to have all of that information that I lost. So I recovered some of it, but again, I lost those YouTube video scripts and stuff like that. So you win some, you lose some. So basically I use my financial freedom vision book, and I love that I have something physical. I use my notes app, I use my numbers app, and I use my pages app. And I also film myself as well, not just for content, but also for me to have the ability to process my thoughts, feelings, etc., like I mentioned earlier in this section of this course. So yeah, so I use these 5 things now, and it really helps, and I'm just at a very advanced level, so it requires me to improve how I track everything, how I plan everything, because I'm at an extremely high level now, like very, very high level that requires this. So I don't have a workflow and a life like what it was back in 2022. I have so much more freedom, and I have freedom because I'm organized. Anyway, now you know the update regarding this. So be careful with the apps that you use, given whatever your operating system is on whatever devices you use, blah blah blah. Make sure everything is compatible, and the best way to do that is to just stick with the same company for the apps that you use on the devices you use. That's what I think. So don't make my mistake. It wasn't that big of a deal, but it's like tear down face that I can't access those older files. Yeah, and thank God that I saved at least parts of that stuff into the notes app, because the notes still work. They still work. The notes app still works. Those old notes are all saved. Chapter 1.3D to 1.3I. Debt-free formula, step 2 to step 7. Chapter 1.3D, debt-free formula, step 2. What is your debt? Answer this question. What is your debt? How to answer this question. List all of your debts from smallest to largest. Be sure to include things like your car payments, regardless if you're leasing to buy or if you're just leasing it for a few years, because you technically don't own the car. The bank you got the loan from owns it until you pay it off in full. Side note. While listing your debts from smallest to largest, make a note of the interest rate and what the minimum payment required for each loan is. Chapter 1.3E, Debt-Free Formula, Step 3. What is your cost of living? Answer this question. What is your cost of living, monthly and yearly? How to answer this question. List all of your expenses, including all of your debt, recurring expenses that are monthly, yearly, etc. These include, but are not limited to, your subscriptions, utilities, car payments, house or rent payments, etc. Anything you are leasing and renting is debt and should be included in this list. Add them together to figure out your total cost of living per month and per year. Yes, the yearly subscriptions you divide by 12 to get the monthly cost, and yes, the monthly subscriptions you multiply by 12 to get the yearly cost. Chapter 1.3F, Debt-Free Formula, Step 4. How much do you earn? Answer this question. How much do you earn, monthly and yearly? How to answer this question. List all of your incomes and add them to figure out your total income. Multiply your monthly income by 12 to get your yearly income. Divide your yearly income by 12 to get your monthly income. Chapter 1.3G, Debt-Free Formula, Step 5. What is your cash flow? Answer this question. Number 1. What is your cash flow? Monthly and yearly. Do the following steps for your monthly cash flow. Then, after finishing your monthly cash flow calculations, do the following steps to calculate your yearly cash flow. How to answer this question. Subtract your income by your cost of living, aka expenses. Answer this question. Number 2. Are you spending more than you are earning? Or are you earning more than you are spending? How to answer this question. If your answer to subtracting your income by your cost of living, expenses, is a negative number, you are spending more than you are earning. If your answer to subtracting your income by your cost of living, expenses, is a positive number, you are earning more than you are spending. Answer this question. Number 3. How much are you spending more than you are earning? Or how much are you earning more than you are spending? How to answer this question. If you are spending more than you are earning, your negative number is how much you are spending more than you are earning. For example, if you are spending $100 but earning $70, 70 minus 100 equals negative $30. You are spending $30 more than you are earning. If you are earning more than you are spending, your positive number is how much more you are earning than you are spending. For example, if you are earning $100 but spending $70, 100 minus 70 equals $30. You are earning $30 more than you are spending. Remember to do these steps for both your monthly cash flow answer and your yearly cash flow answer. Chapter 1.3H, Debt-Free Formula, Step 6. What are your assets? Answer this question. What are your assets? To answer this question, list all of your assets and add the worth of them to figure out your total assets value. Chapter 1.3I, Debt-Free Formula, Step 7. What is your net worth? Answer this question. What is your net worth? How to answer this question. Add your savings and your assets, then subtract that number by your debt. That is your net worth. Parentheses, savings plus assets, and parentheses, minus debt equals net worth. For example, if my savings is $100 and my assets are worth $20, it's $100 plus $20 equals $120. Then I subtract my debt from the sum of my savings and assets. If my debt is $40, then here's the way to find my total net worth. $120 minus $40 equals $80. You have to figure out your cost of living for the following reasons. 1. To be able to determine if you are spending more than you are earning. 2. If you are, then we must determine by how much more you are spending than you are earning. 3. Next, you change your spending habits by decreasing it as much as possible through eliminating unnecessary expenses that were a result of things such as trying to keep up with the Joneses, lifestyle creep, etc. Why it's important to do the above and how it's relevant to the future of your finances. 1. It's important to get in the habit of minimizing unnecessary expenses in order to maximize paying off debt and maximize savings. These are foundational habits for wealth building. 2. Putting these habits in place of maximizing paying off debt and maximizing savings will put you in a position to eventually pay off your debt and then dedicate that percentage of your income that you are paying off your debt to be allocated elsewhere, and your savings will be restructured for the next level of financial freedom. That's a formula I have for you in the next level of the financial freedom courses I have created for you called the Financial Freedom Fundamentals Level 2 Savings and Wealth Building Formulas. 3. But for now, hyper-focus on these steps I am laying out in this course for you. I don't want you to get overwhelmed by looking too far into the future. Now is the time to get your financial freedom foundation built with everything I'm teaching you in this course. Chapter 1.3J, Debt-Free Formula, Step 8, How to Decrease Your Spending. You want to take one step back in order to catapult yourself into becoming debt-free. Even though it feels like taking a step back, the reality is you're just positioning yourself correctly and firmly so that you can catapult into a life free of debt. It's going to be a journey that can take a year or two, but it is so worth it. Pay off all your debts. If you are indebted because you have debt on your home, consider selling your home and downsizing. Or you can decide to just pay your home off sometime after you pay off the rest of your debts. Consult with your financial advisor about the debt you have on your home. This is a time to keep your life as simple as you can with as minimal expenses as possible while still enjoying your life. It's very possible because I still implement this lifestyle even though I have a much higher income than when I started. There are 3 ways to financial freedom. 1. Being ultra wealthy like a millionaire or a billionaire. But the majority of people don't have what it takes to be a billionaire, for example. And that kind of money is honestly not necessary for financial freedom, wealth, happiness, fulfillment, community, etc. There's many millionaires, multimillionaires, and billionaires who are sick and miserable. Sadly, many even commit suicide. You want to get the foundation of life and financial freedom strong so that you build a healthy, happy, fulfilling, and wealthy life. Remember, money isn't wealth. You can have a lot of money like the billionaires and millionaires who are sick, miserable, and commit suicide, but be poor because you lack wealth. 2. You can be a super minimalist living in a camper van or in a tiny home, working a few hours a week because your expenses are so minimal. And you can be hanging out with your community, doing your hobbies, and having a blast in your off-grid life or your van life. 3. Or you can be someone somewhere in between like me. I live in a big, beautiful home that is not gigantic, but it gives me enough room to grow into the home. It's located in a place I've been in love with since my childhood and love this area, the nature, the culture, and community with all my heart. I keep my cost of living around or under $2,000 a month, and I earn more than I spend. My hobbies became my source of making a living, and I have a blast. I wake up in the morning in a good mood and usually have a bunch of positive and creative energy. I'm at my optimal financial, physical, mental, and emotional health. And I help a lot of people all over the world because I take such great care of myself as a responsible person who respects herself, has high self-esteem, and is accountable to herself. I take full responsibility for my life, including my finances, and I live a very fulfilling and joyous life. So, 2025 update. I no longer live in a big, beautiful home. I live in a 1-bedroom apartment, and that is perfect for me. Could I have grown into the big home? Yes, but I just felt like it was a lot of work to maintain such a big home. I personally don't like hiring people to clean my home. I enjoy cleaning myself, and I just didn't want to clean a big house every single day. A 1-bedroom apartment, that is my sweet spot. I love my apartment now. Like, this is a really good fit. And so this is where I'm at in 2025. I'm single. I don't have kids, I don't have anybody I'm dating, I'm not in a relationship, nothing like that. So this is just like purely my energy in this home. And I am so happy this way. I don't want a big, beautiful home anymore. I just want a small apartment, a small 1-bedroom apartment that is the exact fit for my current life, which is the life of a single woman. And it's beautiful. I really love it. So, you know, you guys, we change, we grow and we change, and our needs change, and we get to know ourselves better. At least for me, I got to know myself better of what I wanted and what I didn't want in my home. And every year I kept growing. And to me, having a 1-bedroom apartment that is high up in the sky, everything just works really well. It's very beautiful. And I have a wonderful kitchen that I cook in. And I'm eating homemade food. Oh, I'm so happy. Everything works well, and I'm just like happy. My landlords are great, and the building works really well. And so far, this is just the dream. This is my dream. And maybe one day I will move into a small home and have my own garden, and not only cook my own food like I'm doing now, but also grow the food that I am eating. That would be lovely in the future, but we'll see. Right now, I am so happy where I'm at, and I am not in a rush at all to change my lifestyle because I really am happy here, and I really earned this. Like, I really did, you guys. So yeah, I pat on my back, you know, like I did it. I did it. I found my sweet spot for this chapter of my life. So we'll see what the future holds. And I do want to also add, at the time that I had written this course, I would say that I had a high self-esteem. I was a very confident person. Right now in 2025, I still believe that I am someone who respects herself, is really responsible and all of that. I do have some new insecurities, but I think, these are just temporary, and even if they're not, I just want to be transparent. Sometimes you're a really confident person and something's happened to you and then you're less secure in yourself, but that's okay. You can work on that, and sometimes it just takes work and time to rebuild that confidence or security you had in your self-esteem. But I do respect myself, and it's getting better, and I'm building my self-esteem back up. So I'm really happy about that. I am taking good action. I'm on a good path, so I'm going to continue with this. 4. You can design your own life to suit your needs. You may not want to live abroad, or you may want to live abroad, but you might want to be traveling more than I do. I slow travel while having a home base. Again, you can design, customize, and tweak these 3 kinds of lifestyles I presented to you. Feel free to write down and or record yourself describing what your ideal life and day would be like in a lot of detail from start to finish, and reverse engineer how to get there and what you really want in life versus what you think you want based on what society has told you is a fulfilling life. Remember, we consume so much gunk from society and marketing that isn't actually our inner voice. So get to know yourself by asking yourself these kinds of questions, figuring out what you'd like to do, reverse engineering how to get there, trying it and adjusting as you go. Don't buy anything you can't afford, and think of anything you do buy in terms of your precious time, blood, sweat, and tears you are trading at a job you hate for that item you are buying, and it will discourage you from overspending. I thought about that to help keep me from overspending, in addition to how painful my living situation, lack of access to quality healthcare, work situation, or lifestyle was, in addition to reminding myself the positives of savings in order to be able to get myself out of each unhealthy circumstance that made my soul feel like it was dying. Attaching an emotional response to paying off debt and saving really helps override your programming in your brain. It's science. If you have credit cards and aren't able to immediately pay off all of your debt, whether it's you don't have the funds or you don't have the discipline when you use your credit card, stop using your credit cards. You don't have good impulse control, and credit cards aren't for you until you have better impulse control. I'm someone who pays off her credit cards immediately because I don't spend money I don't have. I built these habits when I had very little money and very little income, and the habits stuck with me even when I gained more money and more income over time. You need to protect yourself from yourself by reprogramming these habits if you can, in the way I did, by starting small and succeeding to stick to these habits as I gained more and more wealth. Or you need to cut out credit cards completely. The only person who knows if you're someone who can use credit cards without being used by the credit cards is you. If you have credit cards because you're worried about fraud, debit cards have a similar level of protection as credit cards, but keep a minimal amount of money in your checking account that is linked to your debit card. The majority of your money should be in savings accounts that don't have any card linked to them. Don't drive a car you can't afford. Downsize if you have to, or buy an inexpensive car if you can. I personally don't have a car. I live in a country where taking taxis is really affordable, so I choose to do that instead of owning a car while I earn in US dollars and spend in the local currency. Sell what you don't need. I used to sell my clothes that I didn't need back when I was a fashion influencer, but eventually I realized I'll make more money if I just focus on my business and generating income that way instead of selling my clothes. So that's what I did while donating my clothes. It may be different for you. You may need to sell your belongings that you don't need to have the extra cash. Please especially sell the things you don't need that drain your wallet. Cancel subscriptions you don't need. You can keep one or two that bring you joy and help you on your journey of financial freedom in some way, for example, but cut out everything else that is unnecessary and draining your wallet. Move if you can and want to. You can move in with relatives, with friends, or you can move somewhere less expensive, such as another city, town, state, or even abroad like I did. There are places in the world where your cost of living can be under 1,000 US dollars or under 2,000 US dollars. I am Armenian, and traditionally in our culture, we live with our families until we get married. Obviously, I have no desire to marry, but I still lived with relatives for most of my life. Okay, I just want to give a 2025 update. So yes, I'm still single. No, I'm not dating. There's no romantic situation happening in my life in any way, shape, or form. Single, unmarried, child-free. Yes, this is the truth. Still. And I'm very happy this way. However, I'm open to perhaps I might meet the right person and change my mind about being married. That's possible. And you never know. I might even change my mind about having kids. It might be something that I want to do. But there's very little time left now since I'm in my early 30s for having kids, because you know, at 35, it's like you want to do it before then, because after that it's complications. So I'm not gonna let the biological clock pressure me into any relationship that is not right for me. So, and I'm not gonna have kids unless if I'm ready. So I'm okay with not having kids and waiting for the right person to come along. And if they never come along, that's okay. I'm actually really happy single. Like, I really am. Do I have the desire to be with someone one day? Absolutely. But we'll see, you guys. I have to meet the right person, you know? Otherwise, it's not gonna work. And, you know, to meet the right person, I really believe that I need to be the right person in order to attract the right person. So I'm really working on myself. That's something that I'm really focused on at this chapter in my life. And we'll see if I shall attract the right person for me in the future. If there is somebody like that out there, if I even want that later on in life, I don't even know. It's just a big question mark what the future holds. And I'm just like happily strolling along, living my wonderful little life over here. So I'm just not going to think about it too much. But I just wanted to give that 2025 update on that as well. Because, you know, there are little things that have changed since 2022 when I first wrote this course versus 2025 when I'm re-recording the course to release for free. Okay, so let's go from obviously again. Obviously, I have no desire to marry, but I still lived with relatives for most of my life. You don't have to live with your parents. I had not lived with my parents since my childhood, but I lived with relatives until I finally decided to move abroad in my 20s. Just make sure to choose who you live with wisely if you choose to live with relatives or friends, as if it is not a good match for your living situation, it can strain your relationships with these people you love. I love living alone abroad, and I highly recommend it if it's something you dream of. There are even ways to live abroad for free while traveling, such as being a house sitter or a pet sitter, allowing you to eliminate or minimize housing costs. There's endless possibilities for every budget. Refuse to put yourself in any more debt. Do not spend money on anything to try to impress people you don't even like. The right people will love you regardless of your financial situation and how trendy you look. Change your definition of what it means to reward yourself. Rewarding yourself does not mean buying expensive things or experiences anymore. It means making sure you're in optimal financial health, emotional health, and mental health. You can enjoy a walk and picnic at a lake, a park, or a beach if you live close to either, instead of going somewhere expensive and doing an expensive activity. You reward yourself through getting out of debt and saving money and positioning yourself to become an investor in the making. You don't buy anything you can't afford. You can enjoy monetarily luxurious experiences again when you can afford it. But truly, change your perspective. Having the luxury to take a walk in the park peacefully is a luxury my great-grandparents, grandparents, and even my parents didn't have at times in their lives due to the Armenian genocide, Armenophobia, Turkish settler colonialism, Russian imperialism, Stalin's Soviet dictatorship, natural disasters such as the Spitak earthquake, and the threats of abduction and torture that Armenian women face on a daily basis in different parts of the world simply for existing, especially currently Armenian women who live in the Artsakh part of Armenia going missing because they were abducted by Azeris who torture and murder them. So I have to give you another 2025 updates because I wrote, recorded, and sold this course back in 2022. However, I'm re-recording it and giving you the updated 2025 version. So we're talking about Artsakh. Artsakh is an eastern part of modern-day Armenia. Modern-day Armenia is Eastern Armenia. Western Armenia, which is where the majority of my ancestors are from, is currently occupied by Turkey because Turks colonized Western Armenia and we no longer have access to that land, and it's due to the Armenian genocide that they committed. Turkey and Azerbaijan are literally colonizing Armenia. We're like the last indigenous nation left in the region, and it's a whole thing, guys. And without going into too much detail, I'm bringing this up because Artsakh has been completely colonized by Azerbaijan. It's 2025 and just a few years later, we have no access. We have no access to Artsakh anymore. All of the Armenians in Artsakh have been ethnically cleansed. It's a genocide. They're gone. There's no more Armenians left. So there was hundreds of thousands of Armenians living there in Artsakh. It was all Armenians and now they're gone. So yeah, guys, these are realities that exist in the world, exist for Armenians, and us Americans, we're very privileged that we don't have this issue because, nobody's gonna challenge the US like that, but as Americans, we need to have perspective. There's real stuff going on and we need to appreciate what we have and have the right perspective rooted in reality. So there are these realities that happen in other countries in the world and in countries that are first world countries such as the US, but especially the US in particular. We just don't think about these things. It's not a problem for us. We have first world problems, and yeah, but anyway, this is something to give you perspective. It is such a privilege to be able to feel safe enough to walk outside of your home without the fear of genocide. Okay, so, and again, Artsakh has been completely colonized by Azerbaijan, and there are no more Armenians left in the region, and if they are, they're prisoners of war. So it's a reality, and it's important that I bring this up so that you guys can have perspective, and also so that I give accurate, up-to-date information on what has occurred in the world, because unfortunately the media outlets make it sound like it was a conflict when it was literally genocide, a genocide that has been ongoing for so long. So yeah. Okay, anyway, let's move on to the next point. For me personally, me being able to educate myself is a luxury, and I can be educated for free online through the internet. Whereas I know Armenian women, intelligent, highly gifted Armenian women who'd been beaten as children by their male relatives, including their father and brother, for reading books as a child. She had a passion for reading, and she was beaten brutally simply because she was a girl wanting to read. A female child being beaten brutally by the people who should be protecting her simply because she is a girl and not a boy. Education is a luxury in a world where so many people do not have access to it. You have to keep life in perspective. Chapter 1.3K, Debt-Free Formula, Step 9, Gems of Wisdom to Remember. Gems of wisdom to remember during your journey to become debt-free. Remember to celebrate yourself every step of the way, but do it inexpensively for now. Eventually, you can go back to spending more when you can actually afford it. Remember not to overstrain and enjoy life while you're here. But remember that debt is your enemy, so don't veer off the path of this formula, and if you do, Get back on this path as quickly as you can without judging yourself and beating yourself up. But do hold yourself accountable. Holding yourself accountable means taking responsibility for your choices, but it doesn't mean that you should judge yourself and beat yourself up for your mistakes. Keep that in mind. I want to share this quote that I love. If you are a good person and you're trying, truly trying, and not trying to hurt anybody, you're fucking phenomenal. This mindset of accountability is what makes you win. Makes you happy, whether it's true or not. Got it? The thought of taking on responsibility for everything that's not working is the win, whether you're right or wrong. Please bear this quote in mind because it's a winning mindset. It is a winner's mindset. You want to repay the people and the entities that trusted you. You want to be financially free so you can be happier and more peaceful and bring happiness and peace to those around you. Stand your ground. Be a responsible person. You have to learn to take accountability for your actions. Your choices and actions have consequences, and your word is bond. Even in the smallest of commitments and promises, get back on your feet and make yourself proud. You'll notice your confidence and self-esteem increase throughout this process. You have to free your soul from being an indebted servant. When you have determination, you can find a way, and you'll gain self-respect, and eventually the people around you will be proud of you too and respect you more too. I want to add something here. So here's a 2025 update. Not only will you respect yourself more and gain the respect of the people around you more, but something that also comes out of this process is that you respect other people more. It's really important to respect yourself. When you respect yourself, you respect others. In the past, I felt like I had to disrespect myself in order to respect others, but now I have made the connection in my brain that actually, if I want to respect the people around me, I need to start with myself first. And so sometimes you have to disappoint other people in the process of you respecting yourself, but in the end, in the big picture, you are actually respecting people around you more. So it starts with you. You are the root of the respect that exists with the relationship you have with yourself, but also with the relationship you have with other people. And so you're like this light of integrity that is just radiating integrity into the world. It has a positive impact on people. So that is something that I didn't understand, like the depth of how important that is. So I just really wanted to emphasize that because I didn't do that enough in the 2022 version, which is the script that I'm currently reading. So I'm happy that we're in 2025 and I'm able to go through this and make these updates because I think in a lot of ways I'm a better version of myself, and I'm happy that I can share these insights with you. Okay, moving on. Love to work and gain skill. Even if the people who pay you are ungrateful. People are watching, and you never know when an opportunity will come to get you out of the situation you're in when you're an enthusiastic, skilled, hard worker, smart worker, whether you're the one who creates the opportunity or whether someone comes along to help you. So I want to give another 2025 update on this point as well. I came across a quote from a wise man that really sums this up nicely. The work works on you more than you work on it. And this is something really powerful because you never know when a skill you obtain is going to come in handy. You might not understand it now, but like 20 years from now, it might click. I have an example of this year even. You know, I've always been very tech savvy and I always enjoyed doing some like beginner level coding just on my own and having a blog or having a website, those kinds of things. Well, this year I actually decided to move my membership onto my own website. And so I had to build all of that and do it in a really short period of time. And honestly, the middle school and teenage version of myself and even the 2022 version of myself would be so proud of me right now because now my membership, which is my main source of income, lives on my land on the internet. It no longer lives on the platform of another company or anything like that. It is mine. I own it 100%, and nobody is the middleman taking a cut out of my money. And I think this is a really good example. And the only reason why I was able to do it, a lot of other people got screwed. A lot of other people who had a membership on that specific platform got screwed. But me, no. I'm tech savvy. I'm good at working intensely in a short period of time because I've done it so much. And within a month, I was able to migrate 10 years of content onto my own website's membership that I built by myself, you guys. Like, nobody really understands like how hard that was for me to do. It was so incredibly hard, and to do that while in the process of my health goals and all the other things that I have going on, that was incredible. That is like Olympian level entrepreneurship there, and nobody even freaking understands. Nobody understands. Nobody will understand what I have achieved this year. And the only reason why I was able to achieve this is because my work worked on me more than I worked on it. And these skills are just like things that I have acquired throughout my life. So you might have thought, oh, it's so stupid that you had a blog back in the day and you were like coding your own blog and you took like computer classes in middle school and you just loved technology since you were a kid and That paid off. Even like me building a website a few years ago with the specific web hosting platform that I did it with, that paid off. Like things that I didn't realize would pay off, they paid off. And now I'm free, even more free. Now I get to take more of the profits because there's no middleman anymore. It's my money. I got a raise. And not only that, I also eliminated the fees that my members were paying. So it was a win for my members and it was a win for me. So guys, like, let this be a lesson to you. Put in the work because it will work on you more than you will work on it. And it compounds. The skill set you build compounds with time as you keep building your skill set. So just keep going, because you are your greatest asset. All right? Let's move on. Chapter 1.3L, Debt-Free Formula, Step 10, Directions for Money Allocation, Percentage Splits. Now that you've figured out your net worth, your income, your cost of living, expenses, and your cash flow, it's time to figure out the allocation of your income in order to begin to pay off your debt. First level of allocation. 1. 10% of your money is yours to keep in a savings account you don't touch, called your Eternity Savings Account. Save up a minimum of 3 to 6 months of savings in this account, or you can save up to whatever makes your heart content. But remember not to touch this money, no matter what. If you have to pretend it doesn't exist, or if you have to add friction in accessing it immediately or restricting your access to this money with penalties because of the kind of account you're saving it in due to you having poor impulse control, do it. Eventually, you'll be able to control your impulses because you'll be rewriting the pathways in your brain when it comes to maintaining your savings. And when you have the discipline, you won't need separate bank accounts with extra friction and penalties to keep you from dipping into this account. This is to put you in the mindset of being a saver instead of being in debt, and to start your wealth building journey. 2. Dedicate a minimum of 20% of your income to paying off your debt. 3. Remember how I told you to list all of your debts from smallest to largest here and make a note of all the interest rates for each one and the minimum debt repayment for each? Well, now is the time to put that information to use. A. In order to have a snowball effect of paying off all of your debts that lights a fire in you, start with making a minimum payment on all of your debts, and then using the remaining of the money you dedicate to paying off your debts every month towards paying off the debts in full as quickly as possible, from the smallest to the largest. The reason why we're not paying off the biggest interest rate debts first is because the more you knock out paying the small debts in full as as quickly as possible, the fewer debts you will have, and the process will feel very rewarding and motivate you to knock out the bigger ones. Think of it like a video game. You beat the weaker enemies first as a way to gain skill in taking on the stronger enemies. These debts are your enemies draining your wallet, so knock as many of the weaker ones as quickly as you can to gain the skills and experience to take on the stronger ones. You can do it. I'm gonna give it a 2025 update here. So this is my personal preference, and this is what I think will work for people. But if you are somebody who prefers to pay off the debts that have a higher interest rate first, that is okay. Remember guys, this course is just a guide. Take what you want, leave what you don't. Do it your way because your way is the best way, because it's what works for you. Okay, remember that. Now, moving on to the next point. Okay. 4. Live upon 70% of your income and never let your cost of living expenses exceed 70% of your income. A. List your expenses from the most important necessities to the least important necessities. Then list your expenses from your most important desires to your least important desires. The list of desire expenses go under the list of necessity expenses, but there has to be a distinction between the two, because I mentioned in this course already that it's important to know what is a necessary expense versus a desire expense, partly so you can protest against your cost of living increasing due to adding unnecessary desire expenses. Hopefully you have the money you need to pay off all of your expenses, but if you don't, you need to start looking at the desire expenses list and looking at where else in your life you can make changes in order to reduce your cost of living to be far below your means. You can't be living above your means. Living far below your means is the way to get ahead instead of just living within your means. 2025 update. So, I would like to challenge you to the idea to put this seed in your brain to increase your income so much that you are investing 70% of your income and living on 30. Yeah, or even better, invest 90% of your income and live on 10%. Or even more drastic. Why not? Let's go there. Invest 99% of your income and live on 1% of your income. I'm just putting this out into the universe for you and planting that seed in your soul, because you never know what is possible. This is something that nobody told me until these kinds of things happened to me, which is, it's not just about preparing for what can go wrong, but it's also about preparing for what can go right. The possibilities are endless. So I just want to put that in your soul, that beautiful little seed. Boop. Okay? Now let's move on to the next point. 5. If you can dedicate more than 20% of your income to paying off debt and decrease the 70% of your income for your cost of living, even better, because that helps you get out of debt faster. Just remember to enjoy life too, and to enjoy life in a way that doesn't hinder you financially. 6. Remember to set aside money for your taxes based on the laws of where you live. You can hire a financial advisor, CPA, IRS enrolled agent, or tax accountant who knows your exact situation for that, and there's a lot of free information online to give you an idea of how much to set aside for your taxes while you search for the right tax person to advise you. 2025 update. I also just want to mention that ChatGPT exists. I'm not saying it replaces a professional, but you can ask it some questions. It might give you some seeds of where to start, give you an idea. And in general, this is something I haven't mentioned in the course yet, but use AI. I mean, it can help, okay? And take it with a grain of salt. Of course, it does not replace a professional, but remember that AI is a tool that you can use. It can help you become aware of things that you were not aware of previously, okay? Now let's move on. 7. If you're low income, in countries like the US at the time of this recording, they're more lenient about taxing the people who are in the lowest of the low income bracket. So start with a Google search to see what the requirements are for where you live and how much you make. It's possible you won't have to pay or pay very little tax as someone who is in the lowest of the low income bracket. 8. Put $1 in a savings account that is not your eternity account. This $1 in this second savings account is your investment savings account. This makes you an investor in the making and start shifting your mind and life in that direction. Second level of allocation. 1. After you paid off your debt, that minimum 20% or whatever greater percentage amount you adjusted to paying off your debt will be allocated elsewhere and your entire savings will be restructured for the next level of financial freedom. Again, that's a formula I have for you in the next level of the financial freedom courses I have created for you called the Financial Freedom Fundamentals Level 2 Savings and Wealth Building Formulas. 2. But for now, hyper-focus on these steps for your financial freedom foundation for a debt-free life I've laid out for you already. I don't want you to get overwhelmed by looking too far into the future. Now is the time to get your financial freedom foundation built with everything I'm teaching you in this course. Debt-Free Formula, Chapter 1.4, Wisdom of Finances and Life. Chapter 1.4a, Principles, and Chapter 1.4b, Congratulations. Chapter 1.4a, Principles. Remember to remind yourself of how far you've come at every chapter you are in, but especially remember to look back to remember how far you've come during those difficult moments, during those difficult periods, and you'll be really inspired by your younger self, by your current self, and by your future self. Flip through your Financial Freedom Vision book and read those older notes. Watch your older videos. Remember your journey. Remember who you are and what you're capable of. You've survived all of your worst days. That is a huge accomplishment. Never underestimate yourself. Life is a marathon, not a sprint. So remember to smell the flowers and enjoy the simple joys of life. Perspective and gratitude are incredible companions of positivity along your journey. You must remember that you have been given this opportunity to change your life and the lives of those around you. Don't underestimate what you can accomplish in a lifetime. You can pay off this debt. Again, remember not to overstrain yourself and enjoy life in a sustainable way for you that doesn't hinder you financially while you're here. But remember that debt is your enemy, so don't veer off the path of this formula, and if you do, get back on this path as quickly as you can without judging yourself. But do hold yourself accountable. Accountability and integrity are your best friends because accountability will help you learn how to be a better person. Accountability will build your integrity. Your word is bond, and you want to be the kind of person who has integrity because they keep themselves accountable. Being a responsible person is very attractive. You will change and you will gain a level of self-confidence, self-respect, and self-esteem during this journey of paying off your debt and building the foundation of your financial freedom. You will become a person you trust and that others can trust too. Get back on your feet. You have the power and magic in you to free your soul from being an indebted servant. When you have determination, you can find a way. Chapter 1.4b, Congratulations! Congratulations on finishing this course. In this course, you've learned to lay your financial freedom foundation with practical yet simple steps to 1. Start the process of building your financial mind to become your greatest financial asset. 2. Implement my step-by-step debt-free formula to liberate your finances and soul to be those of a free human instead of those of an indebted servant. And 3. Optimize the foundation of your finances for the different options instructions of how to live a financially free life in which you wake up in the morning in a good mood. In this course, you learn the foundation of dominating your finances instead of letting your finances dominate you. You have learned the debt-free formula to transform from a servant to debt to a debt-free human. You have started taking action on this debt-free formula while taking this course, which has switched you from being a servant to debt to becoming a debt-free human in the making. After completing the debt-free formula outlined in this course, you will be debt-free. Remember that once you begin implementing this formula, you need the formula for the next level of the financial freedom journey, which is structuring your savings and wealth building. This is something I guide you in the next level of my financial freedom courses. It's called the Financial Freedom Fundamentals Level 2 Savings and Wealth Building Formulas. Your time for financial freedom has come. Congratulations! And here's a 2025 update, you guys. So, number one, I just want to mention this again. Use AI, use artificial intelligence right now in 2025, in May 2025, at the time of this recording. ChatGPT and Perplexity are some of the more popular AI tools available for us. But I just want to say, keep updated with this stuff, guys, and use it as a tool to supercharge you, okay, as a human. These tools are super useful, so use that. And number two is I'm going to release the second level of my financial freedom courses for you for free on this YouTube channel. After I release this master course, I'm gonna begin releasing the next level of my courses, and then I'm gonna release a master course version of that course as well. So first I have to record them chapter by chapter before I can compile them into one long master course. So that's how I'm working here. For people that prefer it in the section by section, chapter by chapter, video by video version, I got you. And for people who prefer it in just one master video that is super long version, I got you too. So don't you worry, I got your back. It's all coming, guys. So just, sit back, relax, watch my videos and enjoy, learn. Point number three, I just want to also hammer this home and emphasize this, that being financially responsible is something that is not just good for you, but it's for the greater good. And those of us who are servant leaders, meaning we serve the public, and honestly, I believe all leaders should be servant leaders, not the kinds that are reward driven. Serving others is the reward, even though it can be really hard at times and challenging and unromantic and uncomfortable. It is honestly such an honor to be somebody that is a servant's leader. So I just want to remind you that being financially responsible is part of what it means to be a servant leader, not just for you, but for others, for the greater good of society, of the world. That's just another point I wanted to hammer home for you guys before I let you go, my wonderful students. I love you. Okay, I'm so proud of you. I want to give you a hug. Let's have a group hug, everybody. Oh, group hug. Okay. I love you. Before I head out, I have to remind you to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Click the bell notification button, turn on all notifications from my YouTube channel, and turn on all notifications on your YouTube app so you do not miss my future videos. I'm so proud of you for taking care of your future financial self through this course. You finished it! I'm so proud of you. And I will see you on my next video next week. I love you so much. See you next week. Have a wonderful day.